Hey everybody, give me just a second here. Give me just a second. Putting up the live stream, getting everything going here. Give me just a second. Alright, I changed my office around, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Everything should be good. I'm looking at the audio right now. Looks like everything is good, so if you can hear me fine, give me a thumbs up in the chat so I can make sure that you guys can hear everything that's going on. So I got my laptop hooked up so I can see the live stream and be able to talk to you guys. But there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Holy smokes, is there a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully you guys have been watching Mopar Insiders over the whole week, actually, because we've been doing a lot of stuff. There's been new spy images going on. There's going to be a new set of spy images for tomorrow on the Grand Cherokee with some new pictures of some new infotainment systems, which is going to be pretty cool. And, if anybody's been following the 2026 Grand Cherokee, is going to get an update. It was supposed to be for 2025, but because of all the pushbacks on stuff, it's now going to be a 2026 model. But we got some stuff coming up for tomorrow afternoon. Even though it's Easter, I still have stuff going on. And then there probably won't be 4 articles tomorrow. There'll probably be, maybe 3, maybe 2 or 3. But we'll still have stuff up there. And then... there's been a lot of stuff like, we're going to talk about, Wagoneer 4xe. We're going to talk about the new Compass 4xe that's going to be unveiled next month in Europe. Tim Kuniskis made a bold statement. We talked about that, and I talked about it on the channel yesterday, and it was a huge thing going forward for Ram. So there's been a lot of stuff. And the biggest one that we broke this week was the fact that Chrysler's got some new changes coming. Not only are they celebrating its 100th anniversary, the brand's 100th anniversary this year, but we're actually getting some actual quotes from Chris Fuel about the future direction of the brand. So it's been kind of crazy, but yeah, a lot of stuff going on. It's been really nuts watching what's going on at Stellantis. The stock market's been up and down constantly with all the news of tariffs and stuff like that. Obviously, their performance numbers have been really bad. We've seen incentives go on, employee pricing and that, which I'm going to talk about that tonight too. It's very interesting because I went to the dealers this week to look at a car, and I wasn't too thrilled with the pricing of it. Even though people say that there's good deals going on, you gotta really do your research before you go. And then just been a lot of crazy stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the first thing we're going to talk about is the Wagoneer 4xe. A lot of people have been asking me about it, and I want to go back. It was a couple days ago I posted an article about it. And what's different about the 4xe is it's not going to be just battery electric. We're actually going to get battery electric, but we're also going to get a Ram charger version. So it's going to have a onboard generator. It's better if I just go this way because I'm not going to go search for the thing because I write so many articles a day. It's unbelievable. So hold on here. Let's go back. Search for the article. But anyways, the Wagoneer 4xe, this one is a range extending electric vehicle. So very, very identical to what we've seen with the Ram 1500 Ram Charger. So basically there will be a Pentastar V6 under the hood of this thing, and it'll be used not to power the wheels, but as an onboard generator to power the battery pack. Here's the thing. We don't know what battery pack is going into this thing just yet. It could be a 92 kilowatt hour battery pack just like the Ram Charger. More than likely probably will be. But for right now, we don't know. I can't guarantee which battery pack is actually going in this thing just yet. But it will have a Pentastar V6 under the hood, basically a 150 kilowatt inverter. So you'll be able to charge the battery fully, and then once it gets down to about, I can't remember if it's 10 or 5%. I was talking to one of the engineers about it a long time ago at the Detroit Auto Show, and I think they said 10%. the Pentastar engine will kick on and start charging the battery pack. So basically, as long as you have fuel in the tank and the Pentastar is running, it will constantly charge your battery. Now with the Ram charger, you're getting 690 miles of range on a perfect basis. This is what Ram has said. It's not guaranteed 690, but up to 690 with the perfect conditions. So still, if you look at like the Ram 1500 Rev, that's only going to give us about 350 miles of range. So we're going to get a lot more out of this Ram Charger kind of upfit. But in the Wagoneer, it'll be the Wagoneer 4xe for sure. We've been teased about this vehicle, and then these spy photos came out. This is one of the vehicles out by the Chelsea Proving Grounds in Chelsea, Michigan. And my buddy Glenn Polina, who's another spy photographer, caught this. And while it's just a mule, this is like one of those vehicles that they kind of just, tear apart to put, new stuff together. So it's kind of like what we call the bastard version of basically a prototype. It does show some very interesting things going forward. So we do get to see like the new headlight design, which is really cool. This is the first time we're actually getting to see the new headlight design, and we've been told for a while now that it will actually mimic the Wagoneer S, and it kind of does with these new headlights. Let me see if I can zoom in here. You can kind of see them here. The DRLs are up high, then you're going to have actual LED projectors down here, but they look very, very sleek compared to the current model. And then, of course, there's no grille on this and no front bumper. But what we've been told is it's going to have, obviously, a 7-slot grille that's going to have to work, because you can see these active grille shutters back here for the Pentastar V6, because it's going to have to have cooling to it. But it's going to have those like striker-like things. They're going to be more squared off, what I've been told, but it's going to have those striker things that were on the Wagoneer. If you look down in the lower part below the headlight, it's got this like striker design. It kind of looked like a C-clamp with a longer part in the middle. The Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer will have those as well. They'll also get a new revised, basically rear fascia, but everything else body-wise kind of stays the same, other than the charging port, which you can see kind of thrown on right here. So it's kind of going to be kind of just like the Ram Charger, same spots and everything. And of course, it's the same chassis as the Ram Charger. So this is still a frame. It's an evolution of the DT platform that underpins the Ram 1500. The difference is it's actually 8 inches wider underneath, because it's got to accommodate a battery pack. But for the most part, it is a Ram 1500 underneath, just like the current Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer are. This one does have air suspension, just like the Ram Chargers that we've seen. So it's going to have basically the same active level air suspension that the Ram 1500 has, and like the Grand Wagoneer has now. So if you get a Wagoneer or Grand Wagoneer with the air level suspension, it's the same thing. But nonetheless, not a whole lot of details it's telling us, but it does show those new headlights, and you can kind of see when it's pulling out of the parking lot, they're lit up, and they look like they're yellow here from the side. So it looks like the Wagoneer will have like yellow DRLs, and then probably the Grand Wagoneer will be a little bit different, but will have white ones, kind of like how the Grand Cherokee's been doing it. So if you get a lower level Grand Cherokee right now, a WL, you'll notice that basically the DRLs are yellow. And then as you get up to a, what is it? It doesn't have to be the Summit, but the Overland. If you get up to an Overland package on the Grand Cherokee, they're white DRLs. So we think that it's going to be kind of the same thing here. But the one cool thing is, if you look at this prototype, while it has all this stuff, you'll notice that, again, it's kind of like a bastard version, because it doesn't have the 8 lug axles. This one has 6 lug axles. You can see right off the bat, that's the huge difference. So this is not the finished project. If we look at the interior, there's those headlights again, but if you look at the interior, it's the same exact interior what they have now. They tore the airbag off and stuff like that. So this is an early version of this, prototype. So this is not to be finalized, but this, like I said, gives us the first look at the headlights, and that the Ram Charger, architecture is going to be underneath it. You can see here, it's got an exhaust pipe. And you can see back here, you can see the big air suspension back here. Independent rear suspension, just like the Ram Charger as well. So here's a better picture of it down here. So expect the same kind of powertrain, same kind of everything, just going to be in a Wagoneer form. So everybody's been contacting me, hey, is Ram going to build an SUV with the same powertrain? No, it looks like this is going to be Jeeps. We heard a long time ago that the Durango would eventually move up to a Stella frame platform and be built alongside the Wagoneer as a, body on frame, full-size SUV, which would have made sense because if you look at the Durango, it's being sold as a police, pursuit model. And we know that police are carrying more and more gear. And it would have been kind of cool because it would have gone along with the Tahoe and all that other stuff. But however, they canceled those plans a long time ago. And then, matter of fact, if we talk about the Durango, I posted an article the other day. We found out, due to some of our supplier friends, that the Durango is extending its life. It was supposed to be, basically be revamped in the 2026 model year with an all new model for 2027. However, our supplier friends are telling us that they had a meeting with Stellantis in the last couple of weeks, and they said, hey, basically the Durango is going to live on till 2028 at least. They confirmed, Dodge confirmed to them that they are building the Durango, the current generation Durango, until 2028 at least. So does that means basically Hemi engines are going to be around until then? It means that, we don't know if the Hellcat's going to be back just yet. It probably will be, but we haven't been able to confirm that yet. The 5.7 is definitely back for 2026. It was supposed to be basically after 2025. That was it for Hemi models, and then they were going to go one last year with just Pentastar power. So they were going to introduce basically, hold on here, my chat kind of crashed. Hold on, let me go back. I want to make sure I'm seeing what you guys are saying, so give me just a second here. Basically what they're doing is they're going to have a 2026 model year with the Hemi. Again, it was supposed to be just Pentastar V6 originally, what we were told. The lineup was going to be changed for 2026, so they were going to bring back the SXT, and then the GT, and then they were going to have the Citadel come back. So they were going to have the premium model, and that was going to be the whole lineup for 2026. However, now with the RTs coming back, and we don't know if the Citadel will return or not, but for the most part, expect the Durango lineup to be the same for 2026 and maybe even going forward. We haven't heard yet if there's going to be another mid-cycle update. You got to remember the Durango had a mid-cycle update in 2014 and 2021. So this is how the Durango started out in 2011. You might remember this, but basically the same body style, but it had these basic halogen headlamps, the 2011 kind of Dodge grill to it. And then in 2014, God, I'm getting my dates wrong. 2014, they got a revamped front body style. The interior kind of stayed the same, but it got really nice. It did get revamped a little bit, but it got the new Uconnect systems and stuff like that. And then in 2018, we got the Durango SRT for the first time, which was really cool because that basically was the 392. And then in 2021, they introduced the updated Durango. So we got the Hellcat, and then we got, the new front looks, new dash, new door panels. The rest of the interior kind of stayed the same, but it's been a strong seller for Dodge. It sold 59,000 units last year, I believe. So it's still a strong seller for Dodge. It's the best selling Dodge right now, and especially with the Charger being as bad as it has been in sales. So it's very important that the Durango stays around. But for the most part, yeah, don't expect any changes going forward too much. I don't think there's going to be a mid-cycle update. It just doesn't sound like they're going to spend much money on it, but it should make it so people buy the Durango for a couple of things. It's affordable. It has 3 rows of, seating. You can fit up to, 8 passengers technically, or 7 passengers technically. I have a 2021 Dodge Durango with the captain seats in the middle, so I can fit 6. It's a great vehicle. Perfect size, can fit in the garage. Can tow, depending on what you have. If you get an RT or a Hellcat, and the RT with the tow and go package can tow, 8,700 pounds. It's the best in class towing package. It can't be beat. So that's a really good thing for a lot of people who are looking to tow boats, campers, and stuff like that want something that they can actually park in their garage. The Durango's a really good fit. And, it's starting to feel its age. I mean, I got a 2021 and that's when they revamped it. It's 2025. We're going into 2026. So it's starting to feel its age, but it doesn't feel totally outdated when you're inside of it. It still feels pretty, well-rounded. But given a couple more years, it'll start to really feel its age. So hopefully, it will do solid in sales. I think it will. But it's going to be very interesting to see what Dodge does, because they were planning on this all-new vehicle coming out, but it looks like Durango is staying around for quite a while. And what we also heard from our suppliers is that our supplier friends is that they are looking at extending it another year for 2029. So that hasn't been confirmed from Dodge yet, but 2028 for sure. And then what they're saying is 2029, they're leaving it on the table. They told the suppliers that 2029 might be a 1-year extension depending on what's going on. So that they haven't confirmed that to the suppliers yet, but they told them, hey, we might be building it out to 2029. So that means that this vehicle started production in 2010 as a 2011, and it's going to go all the way 2011, and then it's going to go all the way to 2029. That's crazy. So who knows? The Journey did a really long life cycle. Grand Caravan did a really long life cycle, and both of them were strong sellers. So hopefully that stays the same for the Durango. We'll see. Let's see here. Hey, Jordan. How's it going, man? Hey, Butter. For some reason, my laptop... Hold on here. I get the chat, but it's not scrolling down. Okay. Have you heard anything about the Ram? We'll start taking orders for the Ram Charger. Well, according to what I've heard is we're not going to hear anything until at least the third quarter for sure. So the vehicle is supposed to come out in the fourth quarter. We're supposed to get it probably late in the fall, if not early in the winter. So I don't think we're going to hear anything for a while. I actually have an order out for a Ram Charger. I put the deposit down back when they announced the deposit. You can put $100 down for it. So I have one out. So I don't know if I'm going to get one. I've been talking about trucks a lot lately. Here's some interesting stuff. I talked about this a few minutes ago. This past week, I actually went to several dealers, and with the leasing that's been going on with the Dodge Charger Daytona, I actually looked at leasing a Dodge Charger Daytona. So I went to the dealership that is one of the biggest ones around, or actually close to CTC, and I was really disappointed because I told them what my parameters were. I basically told them, how many miles I wanted. I didn't want to put anything down, which is fine. And I just wanted to see how low of a payment I could get. And they didn't even put all the rebates or nothing into it. And they came back with a crazy payment, like almost $800 a month. And I was like, you got to be kidding me for a Scat Pack. I'm like, no. Another dealer gave me a price of $529 a month, and that's with zero down. Now, here's the funny part. A lot of people are thinking like, hey, employee pricing is being put on these vehicles, and you can absorb, the other rebates to it. You can't. There's a lot of hidden things into the Charger Daytona right now. The first thing you're going to have to learn is the ones that are really getting the rebates on them are the ones that are coming out of what they call CTP, which is like basically their demo models. They have to go through, I think it's like 3 to 4 weeks in the demo cycle. They have to have 500 miles on them. So that's one of the things. Another thing is you got to have good credit, which I do. I have excellent credit. But you also have to put a huge amount down, like $4,000 down. A lot of people don't have that. And to me, it really doesn't really shift the payment too much. Like $1,500 would, because it pays for your taxes and stuff. But other than that, to me, it really didn't matter. But I was doing like a 12,000 mile lease a year, for 2 years. And the funny thing was when they gave me the pricing, the lease for a 3-year was only $2 lower. So like, what the heck? Why would I do that when the car devalues in $9,000 more in 1 year? The other thing is, if you look at all these prices, like you see these prices, we've seen them like down to $29 a month. Most of them are like about $238, $257. So you either have to be an actual employee, or be related to directly related to an employee, or work at a dealership. You have to have active military discount. First responder discount also helps. There's all these rebates that are out there. But the employee price, if you actually look at it, if you don't qualify for the employee price, like I don't have a direct family member that works for Stellantis, so I wouldn't get that, but I have a lot of friends that do, so I would get a friends and family discount. Well, you can't go into the dealer right now and say, hey, I want the or I want the employee price with the rebates. The way the employee price thing works is it's kind of funny. It's a gimmick. It's what they're doing. It's a gimmick. Ford's doing the same thing right now. The employee price kind of sounds good because it's 5% under invoice, but some of these vehicles have a ton of rebates on them. Ram 1500s are another vehicle, and Grand Cherokees are a ton of them that have these huge amount of rebates on them. But if you go in there and if you actually read the disclaimer, it says that you can't get the employee price if you add the other rebates. And sometimes when you look at that 5% under invoice, and you look at how much is on the hood of some of these vehicles, like Ram 1500s, for example, you're stupid to take the employee pricing because you can get a friends and family discount and then add the actual rebates on top of it, and you're way more ahead than what you would be for the employee price. So it's a gimmick. Like a lot of people are saying, oh, this employee pricing is really going to help them sell. I don't see it really right now, especially here in Michigan, like it really helping. We might see some of these models move. But when I was talking to a couple of dealers, they were like, yeah, we've got some interest, but it's still too pricey for everybody. And, a lot of people right now are having hard times and have a lot of debt. So a lot of people don't have good credit. So I'm going to look next month. I'm the one car I looked at. So the one I went and looked at and they told me $700 a month was hilarious because it was a 2024. It had 668 miles on it. It was triple nickel. And it was, they still had it in the demo fleet, and it was just trashed inside. It had some rock chips already on the front. I mean, it wasn't a great car, and they were telling me that much, and I was kind of laughing. Like, don't waste my time. The other car I looked at was a 2025, a black one. I'm not a huge fan of black, but this car is at a dealer that really doesn't sell a lot of EVs, period. It's been sitting there since January, like late January, when it was one of the first 2025s that was delivered. The only thing was at that, it's just coming out of the CTP cycle, and it would have to basically, it would have to have another 150 miles put on it, and it still had 2 more weeks to be out. And it actually had a cracked side window. So the problem with that was, even if I got the car, I would have had to wait until May 18th for the window to come because of the tariffs and stuff like that. There's a huge supply hold on certain parts, and it's hard to find parts. It's not the dealer's fault. It's not really anybody's fault. It's just how the supply chain works. So I could have taken delivery of the car, but the problem was I would have had to take delivery like late next week, and then I would have had gone back in May to have the car, basically have a new window put in it. But we'll see if next month, if the incentives get even crazier, which I predict they will, I'll look at getting a scat pack again. If I can get it down to like 400 and I don't know, like 450 a month or something like that, I'll do it. I think I don't have a problem with the EV things. I don't drive a ton. That's the thing. I drive very locally. Living here in Detroit, everything's kind of close. But I honestly, I don't think they're bad cars. I drove an early, fast feedback car, before the public did, and it wasn't that bad. It's not this. It doesn't feel like it's Hellcat fast. It's different, but I really like the car. So I don't know. It'd be just something different. I've never been an EV person. I'm a huge V8 person. Obviously, I've had multiple Chargers, a 300C, like the last final edition 300C. So I don't know. I've always been kind of leery about it, but you know what? I think it'd be kind of fun. If I could get something low on the lease scale, I think it would be fun. Let's see here. All 5.7s should be getting 6.2 oil pumps. Absolutely stupid otherwise. Ram Rampage looks like a good little truck. It is a good little truck. The problem is that the price, if we took it in here, they have to decontent that truck, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Let's see here. Oh, Mike's on here. Hey, Mike. How's it going, man? Warlock is a great truck. I've been very impressed with the Warlock. The butter, yes. Dude, I've been looking at trucks like crazy. The thing is like anymore, I honestly, I 100% think that the Warlock is the best deal this year. If you look at it, it's 50 grand. You know, you get the Hurricane standard output engine. A lot of people have been complaining like they don't want a small twin turbo engine. You know, it's been out for a few years. They've had thermostat issues. Really, they've kind of solved that by now. I don't have a problem with the Hurricane. I drove the high output. I was really impressed with it. The only thing is, to me, like, I really like the Warlock, but I've been kind of spoiled because I've always bought cars that are like fully loaded. So like my Durango is only missing like 2 options. It's missing the tow and go package, so it doesn't have the Brembo brakes and that. And what else is it missing? Oh, it's missing the Harman Kardon sound system. I got the Alpine sound system, but I bought it used. So, and then my Ram 1500 was fully loaded. My 300 was fully loaded. So I've always like been like, hey, I like having ventilated seats in that. And then I get into the Warlock and I'm like, you know, basic 8.4 inch screen I could deal with. It's just, I miss certain things, but I do like the bench seat. I think the bench seat's great. It's going to be very interesting to see like the Ramcharger and its pricing. Now, Tim did say some stuff to Newsweek. I did an article about it. Basically, he said that the battery pack should be a lot cheaper. Right now, how it's working out for the automakers is it's about $100 per kilowatt hour to produce these battery packs. And that's one of the reasons why they got rid of the Ram 1500 Rev battery pack for the long range one, the 500 mile one, because it was 268 kilowatts. Or no, what was it? I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyways, it was like a $25,000 battery pack or $23,000 battery pack. It was 238 kilowatts, I believe. So anyways, it was like $24,000 for a battery pack for that truck. If you look at the Ram 1500 Rev with the smaller battery pack, it's 168 kilowatt hours. So it's a $16,000 battery. So that tells you right there the cost of the truck would have been totally kind of like overpriced. Especially if you bought like, you know, a Laramie up, it would have been way overpriced. If you look at, again, the Ramcharger, you got a 92 kilowatt hour battery pack. That's roughly, you know, anywhere from like what Tim said was 8 to 10 grand. So hopefully the Ramcharger will be cheaper. The Pentastar engine isn't a whole lot of money to produce anymore because everything's kind of paid off. But the new Pentastar under the hood of the Ramcharger has some different parts. It's not the same, you know, like as the Pug, which is, you know, the upgrade and stuff like that. It's a little different. So hopefully we'll be seeing a truck that's pretty affordable for an electric truck, honestly. The only thing that will kill the Ramcharger is the price. That is true. There's a lot of positive things about the Ramcharger. It's one thing I can't wait to like actually drive, but it's going to be very, very dependent on the price. 100%. Especially if you're looking at anything over a Bighorn. The only really good thing about the Ramcharger is they're going to have a lineup of pretty consistent models. You're going to be able to get a Tradesman. You're going to be able to get a Bighorn. You're going to be able to get a Laramie. Basically, the only 2 models that you can't get are the Rebel and the Longhorn. So they have basically said that they will eventually introduce an off-road model. So hopefully we'll see a Rebel eventually, but we won't see one at launch for sure. Dude, you know, the Hurricane, I think it's a solid platform. The problem is that, you know, the aftermarket, once they get a hold of it, it'll be kind of crazy. But there's some things I just don't like about the Hurricane engine. I don't know. I've always been a bigger displacement kind of guy. I would love to see a small displacement V8. Like, I think, you know, anywhere from like a 5.2 liter V8, 5 liter V8, I think that would be great. You know, something kind of on par with what Ford's got. I think that it would be really cool to see like that in a twin turbo option, even if it's on the same kind of, you know, engine architecture, just the basic small displacement V8. I think that would be cool. But honestly, I didn't have a problem with the Hurricane. It was fine to drive, you know, like I drove that RHO for a week, and it got good gas mileage for being in, you know, the same suspension and everything as a TRX. I wasn't like upset about the mileage at all, but it's definitely fast. It really is fast. A lot of people don't understand how fast it is. It's a freaking fast truck. The only thing I can say that I don't like, again, I said this 1,000 times, I don't like the fact that it doesn't have a dipstick. You can't check your oil. You know, got to be relying on a computer kind of stuff. I'm very old school when it comes to stuff like that. I like being able to physically do it myself, not relying on a computer that could break. So we'll see. If I wanted a 6-cylinder, I'd buy a BMW or a Nissan GTR. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, here's the thing. It's not Chrysler's very first 6-cylinder engine, obviously a straight 6. They had the slant 6 for years. AMC had some really kick butt inline 6s. We'll see. We'll see. Add 2 more cylinders to the Pentastar. So Jordan, I don't know. I mean, if you guys, by the way, if you guys are in here, make sure to check out Jordan's YouTube channel. He is cranking out the content. He is a Mopar tech down in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and he has some great content. Actually, if you go on Mopar Insiders today, I did an article on his latest YouTube video. He basically replaced, if you heard me complain about the new Charger, one of the things I complain about with these new haptic buttons, they really don't have a lot of feedback to them and whatnot. The early cars had issues, and Jordan actually showed how he replaced the ICS switch on them, and he had to tear the whole dash apart. It's pretty freaking amazing. His videos are really good. So hopefully we can get his YouTube channel going, like, with a lot of content, because he is awesome. He does a really good job in depth about all this stuff, and it's really helping people with Daytona Chargers especially to get out there and see, you know, hey, what's going on with my car, because these cars are so new and a lot of people have questions about them. So he's got a lot of good content over there. A lot of good content. Let's see here. Oh, anyways, Jordan, I was going to say, back when they were developing the Pentastar, they actually were going to build a 4.7 liter V8 Pentastar, but it was going to be for marine use. They were actually going to use it as a marine engine, but it got canceled. Mike might even remember that, because Mike that was back in our way long time ago, all par days, and I know Mike was and knows about that. Let's see here. Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for cranking out the content. Dude, your videos are awesome. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, they can rip apart the new Dodge Charger Daytona, but dude, your videos are really good. It's actually helping a lot of people. I've got a lot of comments about them too in the last couple of days that, you know, people have been questioning about the car. And it's good to see, like, somebody like a Mopar technician actually breaking the car down and talking about all the issues and stuff and how things are, you know, working underneath, because it's a totally different, you know, thing than what we've seen in the last 20 years for the L-Series cars. So it's kind of cool, especially when you have to rip out all the screens and stuff to pull the dash apart. So, but yeah, get over to Jordan's page. It's Mopar Tech Jordan on YouTube, and he's got an Instagram page. I mean, he's got some really cool stuff. If you can't get to it, go to Mopar Insiders and check out. I put this video up today, and then there's another video that he did that actually got a lot of. It got picked up by a lot of people. Inside EVs picked it up, I know, and there was a couple other EV sites that picked it up about why not to slam your frunk on your Charger Daytona. The very interesting thing is, Jordan, I'll tell you something. When I was at the auto show here in Detroit, I seen a ton of people on the Wagoneer S doing the same thing, like slamming the hood down on it. And the hood wouldn't latch, and it was because of the same thing. It was bent because people were just slamming the hood down, and nobody was there to, like, from Stellantis to tell people, like, hey, don't slam it down, just push it down slowly and hold it. It's stupid that they wouldn't have somebody actually telling people that, but whatever. That was their fault. I knew you would, Mike. Put 2 Pentastars together for the Viper. So you want a V12, man, huh? You know, here's the thing. Like, everybody's been talking about, hey, we want a new Viper coming back. I don't know. I really don't. Here's the thing. I'm a purist. I've been a diehard Viper person since I was, like, really little. I wouldn't want it to be like a Corvette C8 fighter. I want the Viper to be, you know, long hood, short deck, front engine, rear wheel drive, V10 for sure. That's I think it has to follow that formula. I know a lot of people are like, no, man, I want like a C8 fighter. Nah, not me. If they're going to do something like that, build something completely different. Ever hear of the Osborne effect? They went out of business because they announced a cheaper, better computer a year before. Good luck getting rid of your existing stock. Well, Mark, here's the problem. So, first of all, they had a lot of problems with the launches of the Wagoneer S and the Charger Daytona. The first thing was they were getting money from the government to produce these cars in a certain amount of time. So they had a release date they had to get by. But when you have a CEO who fires 2% of its North American workforce, that's mainly your electrical engineers and your software engineers, when you have some of the biggest launches that you're ever doing, especially when you're going into an all-new vehicle kind of architecture that is based on electrics, and then you kind of have to like pull people from different parts of the world who don't know the program, like the actual programs that they're working on. You have to pull people from the actual plants that are on layoff to come fix the vehicles. And there's a lot of stuff going on with these vehicles to the point where they had to release them in order to get money from the governments. They just had to. So it was kind of like how Tesla does their stuff. Tesla is like, everybody who knows who buys a Tesla brand new is kind of like, especially if it's a brand new vehicle, they're beta testers. And that's what kind of happened here. And Jordan put it out in his video, like, hey, like, there's going to be stuff wrong with these cars. The cars that he's been working on are 2024 cars. The 2025 ones seem to have a little bit of fixes to them. But I was talking to Jordan the other night, and he said that, they're working on updates and stuff, and hopefully they'll have an update soon, and they'll fix them. I mean, Jordan, you can kind of elaborate on this. You just got a Charger Daytona, did you not? So, I mean, I don't think he would be not getting one if he didn't think they were halfway decent cars. So, but the problem was the launch was bad. So they launched them, the dealers didn't get them until like really the first dealers to get them were here in Michigan, and then they kind of trickled out to and then obviously the Wagoneers were Texas, but they trickled out into some Windsor and stuff like that. But we didn't get them until after the new year. So you're already in 2025, you have 2024 models, and then you go about a month and a half, and not even that. At the end of the month, February, the first week in February, we were seeing 2025 models reach dealers. And there was some 2024 still on holding lots. They still had 2024s on holding lots that they were waiting for updates and stuff for. The problem is we've seen all this stuff go on. They have 2024s, 2025s. They have leftover 2023s, and most dealers here in Michigan, because they built so many L-Series cars that they couldn't sell them all because interest rates went up. And then if you look, we're going into May. At the end of May, it depends. We're gonna hear something very quickly. Speaking about this, we're gonna probably hear something very quickly in the next couple of days about a possible schedule rechange, because Windsor and the Mexican plants are on basic, idle for 2 weeks. They end after Easter, but hopefully we will see something official come out and say, hey, the plants are going to be up and running in May, late May, because late May is now the date for when Charger production starts for 2026. We're going to see the 6-pack come out, and what they're going to do for the Daytona is, I've been told by multiple people at Windsor and within the company, that they are not going to basically release any Daytonas to dealers for inventory. What they're going to do is, if you want a Charger Daytona for 2026, it doesn't matter if it's a coupe or the new 4-door, you're going to have to order it. So you'll be able to drive, the leftover coupes and stuff that are on the dealer lots. But until there's a reasonable number, like a low inventory of Daytonas, they are not going to build them and just throw them in the inventory. Instead, they're going to focus on the 6-pack models, because they really want people to get out there and drive internal combustion again. And then once Daytona levels get down to a reasonable level, nobody really knows what a reasonable level is. Then they'll start making them for just filling in inventory. But if you want a 2026 Dodge Charger Daytona, it doesn't matter. Like, again, if it's a Scat Pack 4-door, RT 4-door, or the coupes, you're going to have to order them. So that's what we're hearing. And hopefully we'll be hearing even more of that. They should be actually announcing something soon because, again, it could be pushed back depending on how the tariffs go. Canada has a huge election. I keep saying this to everybody. Canada's got a huge election going on, and their government could change on April 28th. The voting goes on April 28th. April 29th, Canada could go from a liberal country to a conservative, and Pierre Poilievre, who's the conservative leader, has basically come out and said, hey, day one, I'm going to go meet with Trump, and we're going to take and solve this issue, basically this issue, because Mark Carney, who's the, I would say, interim prime minister right now, he hasn't been actually elected. He was the leader of the Liberal Party. He has gone on and said that, basically he's done with the U.S. and he's looking at being more of a trade partner with Europe. So it's going to be a huge change in policy going forward. So it just depends on who wins. And again, if the conservatives, which it's looking kind of pretty good for the conservatives right now, day one, Pierre Poilievre will be here in the U.S. talking with Trump about tariffs. And he even said, he made comments that he doesn't want to just see fair trade. He said if, they wanted to do 0% tariffs coming into the U.S., he would do 0% tariffs for Canada. So, I mean, he wants to play ball with Trump. So we'll see. But any little pushback, I think, is right now with the change of governments, will be very interesting for this car. Because, again, if the tariffs are going to continue after April 28th, the thing is in late May, these cars are going to come into production. So it's going to be very, very challenging to see, how pricing is going to be for the 6-pack. Pricing for the Daytona 4-door. There's a whole bunch of questions. So we don't know if production is going to be pushed back. We're going to hear something pretty soon because Unifor was supposed to talk with Stellantis officials this week about what's going on. I haven't heard nothing yet just because it's a lot of people I know that are on vacation. Obviously they're down for the plant over there, but it's Easter. I don't want to bother them. They're with their families and stuff. So we'll see. Let's see here. The physical hard parts are solid, easily accessible, and not difficult to repair. It's software that's the problem. Aside from that, I believe it's a well-built car. Yeah, and when I talk to you, Jordan, I totally believe it. I drove the car. I was pretty impressed with overall. There was a couple of things quality-wise I wasn't too impressed. I think the turn signal stock is one of the cheapest things ever. I didn't like the fact that it didn't have an opening sunroof. Instead it had the glass roof. I wasn't a big fan of that. And the haptic buttons. Other than that, I think the car is great. It's solid. The doors shut really good on it. I didn't hear any rattles. Driving it felt a lot tighter than what my 2023 car was. So, Carlos, man, give himself a raise. Fired everyone the next month. Moved all the technician support to India. Yep. It's so hard to get a real help fixing cars now. Dealers telling me there are 0 Demon 170 engines. Was that recently, Butter? They don't have any leftover inventory? Because that's going to be very, very interesting if they have engine failures still. So, but anyways, no, get over to Jordan's channel, check it out. He's got some great stuff. He was talking about future content and stuff, and I think he's going to have a lot of good stuff over there. So make sure to go on there and check him out. There was a couple other things I wanted to talk about. Let me see. There was the one other vehicle. We're talking about electric vehicles. I wanted to talk about this. This is the first spy photos that we've gotten really good of the Jeep Compass 4xe. Now, we obviously heard here in North America, it's going to be built at Brampton. We've heard recently that Brampton has basically suspended their plans for the Compass. Basically, not gotten rid of it, but they're delaying it for a little bit longer because there's going to be powertrain strategy changes. So they were originally, what we heard was they were going to launch as a 4xe all-electric model for North America, just like they are in Europe. However, with the pushback against EVs, really, in March, we've seen record sales of EVs. The problem is there's not enough sales to justify for Stellantis. Stellantis is not a huge EV seller, so they're looking at introducing more of an ICE model and then rolling out an EV later. So that production's been pushed back from like, well, it's supposed to be second quarter of 2026 to probably late 2026. However, they already started pre-production in pilot models going down the lines at the Melfi plant in Italy. And this one is one of those. This will be introduced on April, was it 5th? I think it is, or 5th or 6th. It's the very first week of next, it's the Friday, the very first Friday of April. Anyways, they're going to introduce the Jeep Compass to the world. So this is the new Jeep Compass J4U. It's going to be on the Stella Medium platform. And what we're hearing is there's, for Europe at least, 4xe, if you see the 4xe badge on anything, it's going to be all electric. Okay? It's probably going to have, you know, we're going to probably see like the top of the line models for sure. Basically, this one's a limited. You can kind of tell because of the wheels on it. They're 20-inch wheels, but they will have an off-road version, what we're being told, like a Trailhawk model. And then they're going to offer 2 different versions of hybrids. They're going to offer a hybrid model, which is supposed to have a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder engine. And then they're going to have a hybrid, basically a plug-in hybrid model, which is going to be front-wheel drive only. So the only way you'll be able to get 4-wheel drive in the European Jeep Compass is to go all electric. So you can kind of see this camouflage actually does a pretty good job, but you can kind of see that the Jeep grill's kind of hidden back there. But the funny thing is because this is all electric, you don't see the slots. They showed us teaser images, and they're going to be like dummy slots, kind of like on the Wagoneer S, and then they're going to be backlit. So it will have technically a 7-slot grill, but the grill will be non-functional. And you can see down here that it does have a grill to put, basically to send air to cool the batteries. And, you know, it doesn't have to have much of a grill opening because obviously there's nothing up front, but it will have a frunk up front. And then we're going to see a little bit boxier shape than the current Compass. This camouflage does a really good job of kind of hiding it, but we've kind of seen CAD drawings of it. But, you know, again, it's going to be built at Melfi. We're going to see this thing roll out this, what we're hearing is in the third quarter of this year in Europe. And then it might be launched also in Brazil before it gets to North America. So Brazil's South America is a huge region for the Compass. And, you know, the Compass is that one global Jeep that is one of the best-selling Jeeps around the world. It might not be it's a good seller here, but it's not the best seller Jeep, you know, for North America. But when you look at actual sales around the globe, the Compass is a very, very important part of Jeep's lineup. The one thing that people should know is it's expected to carry a 98 kilowatt hour battery, which is good for about 350 miles or 563 kilometers. And, you know, like I said, if you want to have 4-wheel drive, you're going to have to go battery electric. Here in the US and Canada, we're hearing that there's going to probably be an ICE model, a plug-in hybrid model, an ICE model, a hybrid model, and an all-electric model. There's going to be 3 models for sure. We're not going to get a plug-in hybrid from what I heard. It will probably share here in North America. It will probably share the same powertrain as the new Jeep Cherokee KM. So it'll be a 1.6 liter just like it is over in Europe, but it'll be a hybrid transmission. And then we'll probably have a 1.6 liter or maybe a 2 liter turbo version with no hybrid assist. And then again, battery electric eventually. But we should be able to get 4-wheel drive on it, like probably the hybrid model for sure, and the internal combustion engine ones. So we'll probably get, you know, standard 4x4 capability across our lineup, but over in Europe, they don't use 4x4 like we do. So they will be getting, you know, plug-in hybrid front-wheel drive, hybrid front-wheel drive. Some places will get eventually internal combustion engines like standard, but those will only be front-wheel drive over in Europe as well. So powertrain strategy is quite different from the North American region from Europe. Let's see here. Hi, Grant. How's it going, man? I'm really concerned with the fact that Elkin gave Tavares bonus. Like, that's completely messed up. Well, you know, the thing is I'm sure Tavares would probably sue because he did meet his marks that was the thing. He just kept cutting stuff left and right, so he could meet those bonuses. It didn't matter what it did to the company. He was going to make those bonuses no matter what. He could have sued and, say it was a breach of contract, so they would have had to pay him anyways and just gone to court to it. But it's just good that he's gone. Let's see here. I'm working with Dodge to get a direct customer support person to resolve Demon 170 issues. Some people's cars have been broken for months. Yeah, it's, you know what, Butter? That's what kind of pisses me off, because so many people, and I'm not saying you or anything like that, but I'm saying so many people overpaid for their cars. And the problem is they have these cars and they kind of looked at them as an investment, which was kind of a bad kind of choice, because cars are, you just don't know which cars are going to be huge investments. But the thing is, if you look at the actual value from where these 2023 cars, the Demon 170s were, compared to the 2020 or 2018 Demons, the 2018 Demons are actually holding their value way better than what the 2023 cars are. And it kind of sucks for if you own one of those cars, you're kind of screwed, because, it's not like you're going to lose out a huge amount of money depending on how much you paid for it. Because some of those early people, I got to have this car, paid, over $220,000 plus for their cars. And then if you look at the Demon, the original Demons, they seem to be consistent. We're seeing them go for about anywhere from like 120 to 140, depending on how many miles are on them and what configuration, like basically the color options in those cars. Like Plum Crazy seems to be like one of the best selling 2018 colors for some reason. And of course, Maximum Steel, that's the ultra rare one. That seems to be a really good one. But I just watched two of those cars. The Maximum Steel one went for like 148. And then the Plum Crazy one of them went for 160 with really low miles on it. And if you look at the 2023 cars, they seem to be like, right now, the market seems to be like 160, 180 right now. I haven't really seen any climb over 200 recently, so we'll see. Would like the new Cherokee to come with a 9 hybrid and the 2-liter. Yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. Jeep's really pushing this hybrid thing. This Cherokee is going to be like kind of a test bed to see how this new hybrid technology is going to go. This is the first hybrid model that Jeep has had. Now, a lot of people go, well, they have plug-in hybrids. It's not a strict hybrid. The new Cherokee is not going to be a plug-in. It's just a hybrid vehicle. Hey, Paul. How's it going, man? You're a designer at CTC. That's awesome. That I always wanted to be. That was my goal. Growing up was going to be a car designer at for Chrysler. It's been a difficult 5 years. Oh, I bet, man. Let's see here. Standard output Hurricane for Cherokee Trackhawk. I would love to see a performance small Cherokee. I think that would be kind of cool. Let's see here. Yeah, there's not going to be a Hurricane engine in that thing anytime soon. That 1.6 liter is actually a revamped version of what's it called? The PureTech 4 cylinders from Peugeot. And it's going to be built at Dundee. So it'll be interesting to see how that thing goes. I caught one. Let me see if I can find the pictures real quick. I caught one of those new Cherokees out testing with very minimal camouflage. And the thing was, it was hauling ass down Featherstone, which is the road out in front of the tech center. And it seemed like it was pretty quick, but I don't expect it to have huge amounts of horsepower by any means. So this is the new Cherokee here. You can see it's a lot bigger than what the Compass is. The thing is Jeep went from having 0 vehicles in the D segment to having 3. But this is going to be North American only. So they're not going to actually export this to any other countries but the US and Canada. So this is going to be kind of unique. And a lot of people, think this was going to be like a Wagoneer S basically with a longer back. You can see the grill's totally different. And the headlights look to be a little bit different. And then again, I got some pictures I got to post, but the back taillights are totally different. The rear is totally different. If you look at the back window, you can see that it doesn't have that huge spoiler. It's got more of cargo space, more kind of uniform to what the KL Cherokee was. Oh yuck, it's not the Brazilian engine. No, it is no the 1.6 is actually based on a Peugeot motor. So let me get a shaker hood on the Hellcat Charger. Lamborghini's doing exposed engines now. Oh, let's see here. So like yeah, here's the KM. These are older pictures, and you can kind of see. So here's a Recon behind it. And you can just see the size of the Recon. Even though they're both D segment vehicles, the Cherokee has a lot lower profile, more of a street Jeep is what I call them. But you can kind of see, like, looking at the fog lamps, it's going to be a lot different than the Wagoneer S. A lot different. You can kind of see the taillights going across the back too. It's a lot different. The taillights, when I have some pictures of them kind of being exposed, they kind of look like the outgoing Cherokee, the KL, a little bit. But you can kind of see the whole back is a little bit different. A lot of people thought, oh, it's going to be a third row. It's not going to be a third row. There's no way. There's not enough room back there. So, let's see here. Cherokee looks good. You know, I like the Brazilian 4-cylinders. You know what the funny thing is all the Brazilian 4-cylinders are going to the GME T4. So, there was an article I posted the other day, Mike, right here. So Auto Plus down in Brazil, they posted an article saying that the next generation Fiat Toro down there is going to have an Abarth edition, and that it will have the GME T4, the 2-liter, just like the Rampage, and should have a little bit more horsepower than the Rampage. So the Rampage is rated at, I think it's like 272, and this one will have 280. But this is the Fiat Panda pickup. So this is kind of like a hint of what's to come in the future. But I don't expect it to look that radical. But yeah, nonetheless, they're going to be getting a high-performance version for the Abarth brand down there. And which is funny because, honestly, if Fiat was to build something like, you know, for North America too, that would be like a little pickup, I guarantee that would sell way better than the freaking 500e. Way better. Hopefully that Peugeot engine is better than the Durango. Yeah, well, here's the thing. This 1.6 liter, it's been around for a while, but it's been revamped. The one that we're getting is like a kind of like a revamped version. It's going to be a lot different than what it, you know, originally started as. The only thing I can say is I don't know a whole lot about it, but the original ones had a lot of issues, and it seems like they've really changed a lot of stuff around to fix the issues. So we'll see. Let's see here. I got a hint truck. Let's see here. Man, imagine a new Charger Demon. Butter's really pushing for a whole design change in the design studio. You know what, Butter, I have to say, dude, at least I give you credit, man. You try your best to get in your way. I love it. I love it. The other big news that a lot of people didn't even think about this week was I've been very vocal that Chrysler has, like, especially Chris Fuel, has not been doing her job to kind of promote the Chrysler brand. Yeah, they're down to just a minivan lineup, but it's the brand's 100th anniversary this year. And if you've been following this channel since at least January, I've been very critical, like, why isn't there 100th anniversary badges on all the vehicles that are being built this year? Why aren't they promoting this? I did a video, it was like last week, saying, like, hey, I had heard through the grapevine through some of my friends that basically what we were hearing was that Chrysler was going to start promoting the 100th anniversary starting at the New York Auto Show. They actually released tons of stuff. They had social media stuff. Chris Field had a video posted, all this stuff like that. And what was very interesting was we never have gotten an official statement. We know that there's future products. She's talked about a future sedan. She's talked about the C6X, the new mid-size crossover, which will be on the still a large platform. But she never has talked about them dumping the Dare Forward 2030 part where Chrysler was to become a all-electric brand by 2028. Now, she recently became the Alfa Romeo CEO for North America, and the dealers were really upset that Alfa Romeo was going to go all-electric but if you've been following all this stuff going since probably fall, Alfa Romeo's basically stepped back and been very vocal. Hey, we're not going all electric. They've even talked about, their European CEO has talked about basically the next generation of quadrifoglio models will be internal combustion. They're not going to be electric. Originally, we were supposed to get a Stelvio quadrifoglio. That was supposed to be the first model released here in North America this next year, and it was supposed to share basically all the underpinnings that the Charger Daytona SRT Banshee was supposed to have. So it was supposed to have an 800 volt architecture. It was supposed to have the same EDMs. It was supposed to have the eRupt transmission, everything like that. But they've canceled that. They've canceled it completely. And instead, they're going to probably go back. He was kind of hinting in an interview that they might go to basically twin turbo V6 again, which would probably be, I don't think they'd probably bring the 2.9 back, but they would probably, in my mind, I think they would go to the Nettuno, the 3-liter V6 that Maserati uses. A lot more horsepower and whatnot, a lot more modern engine. But the thing is Alfa Romeo has been very, very vocal about not going to be all EV. Not the same that can be said for Chrysler. Now, Chris Fuels actually talked several times. I've posted many articles about her talking to dealers about, Alfa Romeo not being all electric. And I constantly said, hey, we're waiting to hear an official statement from Chrysler saying, hey, we are not going to be an all EV brand. And I hadn't seen or heard nothing from her. So I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And on Thursday, they dumped all this media stuff to us. So we got pictures of all this historical stuff. We got videos. And in one of the videos, she mentions a multi-energy future or multi-energy strategy. So I wrote to my rep, my communications rep, and I said, hey, I'd like an official statement from, Chris Fuel saying, are they keeping the EV thing or whatnot? And my rep the guy I deal with was on vacation. So his boss contacted me, and I got a full statement from Chris Fuel. And she basically says this: in 2024, Stellantis began transitioning to the next generation of products that are designed to give customers the freedom of choice. Our new Stella multi-energy platforms, as well as our existing platforms, are engineered to offer a variety of powertrains, including internal combustion, hybrid, and electric. To better meet our customers' and provide, to better meet the needs of our customers and provide freedom of choice across our offerings, both Chrysler and Alfa Romeo are pursuing multi-energy powertrain strategies for our future product lineup. So this was the very first, confirmation that we got that we are not seeing at all an all EV strategy going forward. And it's kind of unique because, she just showed off this Halcyon concept that's all electric, and it's a pipe dream concept. Basically, it runs on an electric track on the road, which, only a couple areas in the whole U.S. have it, and it's maybe like a quarter mile long. But nonetheless, it's kind of good to hearing that, hey, they're going to go hybrid and all that. And we kind of got an idea of that because back in January, some suppliers reached out to us and said, hey, we got this note, and we posted it on Mopar Insiders that the C6X program was suspended. Not canceled, but suspended. And it was suspended all through January. What we heard was it was suspended through some of February. And what we heard from our supplier friends were that, hey, they are basically, trying to redefine where it's going to be in the powertrain, like their powertrain strategy for it. So we don't know if it's going to have hurricane power. We don't know if it's going to have hybrid power. It's probably going to have an EV spawn somehow, but it will have different variants. It's not going to be just an EV. Honestly, I would not be surprised if it had a 1.6 liter hybrid powertrain, just like the Cherokee. It's going to be very similar to the Cherokee, still a large platform, kind of similar in size. So again, I wouldn't be, too surprised if they announced that it's going to be a hybrid. But nonetheless, it's good to know that Chrysler will not be an all EV brand. And then another thing was, again, she basically said, she confirmed the C6X, the midsize crossover that's coming, the D segment crossover. And then she confirmed that they are working on a sedan for the future. So we will see a 300 replacement. It will be basically there's going to be a revised to 2026 Pacifica with a mid-cycle update. So we're going to see a new front end, maybe some new interior stuff, but nothing radical. And then we're going to see the C6X, whatever it's called, coming to life. And then on top of that, then we're going to see this new sedan eventually, probably by 2028. So again, people are saying, oh, is it going to be a 300? Chrysler has tons and tons of nameplates to go through. New Yorker, Imperial, Newport. I mean, tons and tons of nameplates they could do. So it doesn't have to be a 300. They could bring back anything. A Chrysler New Yorker, Imperial, LA, they could do a whole bunch of different things. So, I mean, there's a whole possibilities. Concorde. Tons of possibilities that they can bring back to the lineup. Fifth Avenue, all that stuff. So we will see. But it looks like we will eventually be getting a Dodge Charger Daytona / Dodge Charger 6-pack version of a Chrysler sedan eventually. Let's see here. Mopar Junkie knows he's seen the hints in the past. Oh, I missed something here. Hold on here. See the pop of the hood. He's a Chrysler vamp. But it's another Ram Charger model. We need a small performance pickup and another SRT4. 100% agree. We got to get these kids into the brand with cheap, fun performance. And it's not just kids, man. Like, there's so many people that just need a lot of people who aren't performance oriented just need a cheap appliance kind of car to get into the brand. They're the future customers and they can't afford what we have now. Hell, the normal people that love the brands can't afford what they have now. That's why they've kind of moved on. There's only one vehicle. There's one trim that's under $30,000. One trim. And that's the Jeep Compass Sport 4x4. And to me, that is the dumbest thing because you can get like 4 colors. You can get like, basically rubber, like all-weather mats, graphics package, and I think that's it, really. And the funny thing is it's like at $25,995. If you include destination, it's under 30 grand. Jeep fought with me on this. I had some people contact me from Jeep and they're like, no, we offer more than just one. We have the Latitude model. If you look at the Latitude model, it starts at like 20, I think it's like 27,995 or whatever. The problem is with destination, it is over 30 grand. And then Dodge basically lowered the price of the Hornet back to where it was when they introduced it during Dodge Speed Weeks in 2022 to $29,995. The problem is you add destination to it, it's over 30 grand. I hate when they do that marketing stuff when they don't add destination charges and stuff. I mean, you already don't see the taxes because everybody's taxes are different. You don't see all the hidden fees and stuff from the dealers. But just add the stupid destination to it. It's the dumbest thing. Destination has gotten so crazy because like even the Wagoneer now has a destination charge of $2,195. It's funny because I recently found the window sticker for from one of my grandma's cars. She went and bought a 2001 Chrysler Sebring LXI sedan, and I had it for a while after she died. Had a 2.7 in it. Was fully loaded. It was funny because she didn't want the auto stick. And at the time, it came standard in the LXI, and she's like, I don't want that. I don't want to be shifting anything. And I'm like, no, you don't shift. So she got it deleted. But it had sunroof, pretty much every option in it. And, the only other thing that she didn't have was a 6-disc CD changer. She got rid of that. But anyways, the window sticker on it and destination charges then were $595. $595 for that destination charge. And that was in 24 years ago. So it's come a long way, man. It's quadrupled and it's getting expensive. So, let's see here. Yeah, LeBaron's a good name too, Mike. If they rebadge the Julia, we could get a new Challenger.
Go back to Mazda, make a small sports car. Mazda did make the 124. It was built in Japan. Inline 6 in it would smoke some cars. See, the problem is you don't want to put an inline 6 in that car. First of all, inline 6 would be kind of too big for that car. I would put, before they had the 1.4 liter fire engine in it, I'd get rid of that. I'd put the 2 liter in it, GME T4. That has plenty of power. They got the new, basically they got 2 new versions coming out with the Evo motor. You could put a high output one with like over 300 horsepower, and it would be freaking awesome. I agree. I think here's the problem. I think that they need to get rid of the Alfa Romeo brand and the Fiat brand for North America. They're not selling anything. They're wasting money on marketing, and all they keep doing, honestly, they keep pouring money into these brands, and they're not showing the results. There's 115, 120 dealers left in North America for Alfa Romeo. A lot of them have left already. I mean, it's kind of a failed experiment. So why not put that money into Dodge? You could bring a Giulia-sized D-segment rear-wheel drive vehicle into the lineup. Everybody wants a convertible. Everybody wants a Dodge convertible. Bring us a freaking Challenger convertible. Bring us a Challenger coupe. Something that's Mustang size. That would be awesome. The Charger is perfect as a 2-door and 4-door in its current size. I love big cars. And the funny thing is like, if you look at the size, everybody goes, oh, those cars are too big. The E-segment cars now, the full-size segment cars, like I have a 1979 Chrysler 300 in my garage, and that thing is considered a mid-size for 1979. It was the smallest Chrysler you could buy. The funny thing is that thing dwarfs the new Charger Daytona. Like, it is massively bigger. So why not? Like, I like having a big car. I would be more of a Charger person anyways. But I've had Mustangs. I've owned a Mustang before. I actually had a Mustang convertible a year and a half ago until my wife got T-boned in it. So I would love to see a Challenger or, like any kind of like mid-sized car that compete against Mustang directly. I think Dodge would be kind of stupid not to do that. I think there's so many people that want to see a Mustang-sized car to be built to market, and I don't think it would cannibalize the Charger at all, because there's going to be still people that, I mean, if you look at the Charger in the last generation, they were pretty similar in size. You look at the Challenger, it had a 116-inch wheelbase. It was really cramped in the back. The new car is, 121.2-inch wheelbase, has tons of room in the back, even if it's a coupe, tons of headroom. The thing is like, it's a totally different kind of car compared to the Challenger. Build something smaller, lighter, and I guarantee if you put a Hemi V8 in it, and even put like a 4-cylinder standard engine into it, 4-cylinder turbo or Pentastar V6, make affordable cars. They have to have cars under 30 grand. Simple. And I really think that if they did a Challenger, like a short wheelbase, still a large vehicle, it would be selling way better than any Alfa Romeo by far would be. So why not invest the money into something that they know that's going to sell in their number one market? Because North America is their number one market for Stellantis. Let's see here. When are the refreshed WLs debuting? They're going to debut later this year. We haven't got confirmation on it yet, but we're hearing third quarter of this year. So probably I would probably say like late summer. We'll probably hear more about them. We're going to see a lot of them test right now, a lot. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I got some really good pictures of the interior and some of the new infotainment screens. Need a Challenger on a small wheelbase variant of the Charger platform. Yep, exactly. Drop the Alfa and Fiat and make Dodge or Chrysler versions instead. Exactly. Here's the funny thing. Like the 500e, that thing isn't selling well. But if you were to take and badge that as a Chrysler vehicle, make it into something small, I mean, Chrysler needs product. We know that. And if you look at like Alfa Romeo, like the Tonale doesn't sell that great. The thing is if you badged one of those and gave it unique Chrysler styling, not just put a Chrysler badge on it, but gave it unique Chrysler styling, same platform, same powertrains and stuff, and made it a little bit cheaper, it would be great for the Chrysler brand. I had no problem driving the Hornet. I thought the Hornet was a very, I thought powertrain wise, the Hornet's awesome. I did not like the whole Alfa Romeo feel to the interior. I don't like the rolling knob for the stereo. Powertrain wise, I love it. It drove really good. I've never drove a vehicle that size in a C segment compact vehicle with 20-inch wheels on such rough roads as Michigan roads and had it perform so great. That Koni suspension is phenomenal. So if they built that here, build it at Brampton, or build it in Belvedere or wherever, and badged it as a Chrysler, gave it unique Chrysler looks, guaranteed that thing would sell way more units than Alfa Romeo sells Tonales in general. There's a huge following for the Chrysler brand. So we'll see. Butter, I agree. Here's the thing. Like, a lot of people complain that the outgoing Challenger was too big of a car. I thought it was perfect because even though it was cramped in the back, when I had my Mustang, I have 2 teenage kids. They could barely fit in the back, and I had to put my seat all the way forward. The Challenger had just enough room for people to sit in the back if you had to use it as a, an actual 4-passenger vehicle. I have no problem with it being a little bit bigger. I like the fact that the Challenger had a bigger trunk than the Mustang. Overall, it wasn't that bad. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Challenger outsold the Mustang, was because it was a better everyday car. So honestly, if they just follow that formula, get it down to where it was before, 113-inch wheelbase would be awesome. I think that would be perfect. That would be smaller than the outgoing Challenger without really sacrificing much room. I think that would be great. Chrysler needs large and mid-sized near luxury crossovers. So Anthony, here's the problem that I have with the current Chrysler brand. And I want to talk to Chris Field this summer about it because she's going to be at the Carlisle Nationals. I'm trying to have some people set something up for me so I can interview her, because I really want to sit down and talk with her about the direction of the Chrysler brand. She has already said that basically the brand has, like, the minivans have been cross-shopped for adventure vehicles. If you go on YouTube and type in CNBC Chrysler, you'll see my buddy Frank Rhodes Jr. on there, and you'll see her. This was a video that was actually shot in November, but they released it in January. But if you go on there, she talks about, like the different markets, the empty nesters, and family or people with dogs that are buying the Pacifica. The problem is the one thing I really love Sergio Marchionne. I think he was probably the second reincarnation of Lee Iacocca. He saved the company. The company did so much better under him. But the problem was, what I didn't like about him was he made the brands kind of lose their identity. So Dodge became, instead of this blue collar performance brand that was mainstream, you have a performance American muscle car brand that everybody hates the fact that if it's not V8 powered, it's not a Dodge. So, like, automatically everybody hates the Hornet. Okay. You look at Chrysler, they're the mainstream brand, but they only have one vehicle now. They had the 200 and all that stuff, but Chrysler was never made to be the mainstream brand. Chrysler was the innovative brand that was blue collar luxury, the affordable luxury car for everybody that worked hard. The 300 was known as the banker's hot rod, not the CEO's hot rod, the banker's hot rod. You look at anything really for Chrysler. I mean, it was like on par with Buick and even Lincoln before they really got try to push Lincoln, which Lincoln to me will never be, other than the Navigator, won't be on par with Cadillac. There's just no way. But the thing was Chrysler was that affordable luxury brand. What Chris Field, I think, doesn't understand is Walter P. Chrysler, what a lot of people don't know is he actually ran the Buick brand before he went to Maxwell. Now, Maxwell, basically, he was the one who got Buick on track. He went to Maxwell Motors, helped them fix their issues, and then ended up buying them, and Maxwell became Chrysler. So if you look at Maxwell's, and you look at the 1924 Chrysler, or technically it's a prototype, but if you look at the Chrysler 6, it was just a rebadged Maxwell. So the thing is yes, Buick, has a whole lineup of crossovers now, and they're not the most popular brand anymore. They've always been known as an old person's brand. Chrysler kind of got a facelift back in 2024, 2025 with the 300. It brought a lot of young people into the brand, and they should really focus on that, offering more of a luxurious vehicle. The reason why I liked my 2023 Chrysler 300C over a Dodge Charger, Daytona 392 was it was more luxurious. I like that. Even though it had the same, it's underneath, it's the same exact car. The styling just looked more luxurious. It had little touches, the clock and stuff like that. It felt more upscaled than the Charger. And that's one of the things I absolutely loved about it. But I would absolutely love to see the brand go more upscale. Jeep, the problem with Jeep right now is Jeep is the American adventure brand, but now it's become the American premium adventure brand. So the problem with Jeep is everything's too damn expensive. You look at a Wrangler. If you go get a Wrangler Willys 2-door, you're looking at almost partner over $50,000. There's no reason why a Wrangler 2-door should be even near that price. Realistically, it should be like mid-30s starting, not in the mid-40s. There's no freaking way. They wonder why Grand Cherokee sales have been down. They just cut $7,000 off the Wagoneer price. Still not selling. They need to have more affordable options. Jeep can Jeep can do a whole bunch of things. Jeep's kind of that brand where you can kind of do a lot. They, back in 2018, they had their investor meeting. Jeep was going to have their basically, their trail rated models, their Trackhawks and their Rubicons and all that stuff. They were going to have desert rated models with the Desert Hawk and the obviously we got the Gladiator Mojave, but they were supposed to build a Cherokee Desert Hawk model. That vehicle was scrapped at the last minute. Then they had the Trackhawks, so you had performance models with Hellcats, and they were going to expand on that, but nothing ever happened. Jeep just needs to Jeep can do a little bit of everything. They can be the premium brand. They can offer Grand Wagoneers and stuff, but the thing is, though, they have to offer more affordable options. They're talking about a Renegade coming back, but the problem is they said, we're going to build a $25,000 EV. We've been seeing EV prices go down quite a bit, but the problem is that Stellantis doesn't know how to build an affordable EV. You look at the Charger Daytona, they're putting tons of money on it. They're losing their ass on these cars. They just are. I doubt that they're going to have an affordable $25,000 Renegade EV. There's no way. There's just no way. And to have the range that it needs to be competitive, no way. You look at vehicles like the Equinox and stuff like that are bigger than what the Renegade would be. I mean, they're selling those for what, mid-30s? I don't know. But they need to get back to their basic formula. If it was me, and I've said this before on the channel, if it was me, I would reconstructure all the brands. I would basically put Dodge and Ram back together. One thing that really bothers me is you can go into a Dodge, and you can go to any Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealer, and you can see here's this brand, and here's this brand, and here's this brand. You go into a Chevrolet dealership. Chevrolet has everything. They got Corvettes, they got Silverados, they got Blazers, they have, the little Tracks. They have everything under one brand. Brand recognition is everything. Everybody still calls Ram Dodge Rams. It's stupid. I understand they did it for a marketing reason, but you can market. If you remember back in the 70s, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. If you go back into the 70s and 80s, you might remember. Let's see if I can spell right. They had signs at dealers, and Dodge dealerships were separated. Let me see here. Let's see if I can find. Right here. Let me You can kind of see right here, they had Dodge and Dodge trucks. Okay? That's how they were. Chrysler had Chrysler Jeep dealers. You know, thing is, you can do brand recognition. Here in Detroit, we actually still have a couple Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler Jeep dealers. We do. They're separated. They're down the street from each other, different owners. I mean, it works out that way. But there's no reason why they can't kind of combine the brands. Chrysler needs a mainstream brand. They don't need to have a ton of like SUVs if they have a ton of Jeeps. Make it so they have, you know, they can have a couple crossovers and stuff, but they don't need to be, you know, anything like a Jeep. Dodge, like when you go walk into a Ford dealership, Ford has everything. They got the Mach-E, Mustang, thingamajig. They got the Mustang, F-150, Bronco, all that stuff. As a Ford, Dodge needs to go back to being a mainstream brand. You can have a mainstream brand and have performance still available. Performance stuff can be under the SRT brand. They don't have to have a separate brand, but they can have an arm just like they did before where everything was badged as an SRT. I don't see why they can't go back to that. It makes it less confusing for the people and they won't cross shop as much. So we'll see. Let's see here. The Wagoneer platform was supposed to be used for multiple vehicles originally. That is correct. Chrysler needs to go back to the 300 sedan with rear-wheel drive platform and all-wheel drive, especially with a 6-cylinder engine, Hemi engines plus bring it back as an Imperial V8. Hey, I totally agree. Unbelievable that what they did to Jeep should never be so expensive. It's exactly right. I also don't like what they did to the Wagoneer series, looking too Cherokee-like. Well, I don't have a problem with it being like, I think the Wagoneer S is pretty attractive. I just don't see it being, like, if you look at, compared to the Charger Daytona, it's a way better deal. It's a way better deal with what the kind of content you get compared to the Charger Daytona. My biggest problem is they need to really focus on making affordable vehicles. They can have those kind of vehicles, but make affordable vehicles. They just need to get back to basics. They got to do it. They're not going to be successful if they don't. Let's see here. You got to think, when they had affordable vehicles like the Renegade and stuff in the lineup, they didn't sell a lot of Renegades. But when they had more affordable vehicles, you got to remember, a few years ago, they were pushing almost 1 million units. 1 million units. And now they're only about, not even half is what they were for Jeep. Let's see here. They still have 2 live CUDA trademarks. Yep, one for badges and one for motor vehicles. Just checked. So one of those things for motor vehicles is obviously they always keep those open because they have, like, you know, merchandising and stuff like that. It's like, how can I say it? Hold on here. I'll show you a good example. Die-cast cars. This is a Barracuda, 64 Barracuda, right? So even though this is an Auto World model, they still have to pay for royalties to use that name. So the trademark, as long as they own it, they make money on it. I will show you guys something kind of funny that many of you never picked up on. I never talked about it on Mopar Insiders. So you guys are going to see something that I haven't talked about. So somebody pointed this out to me off the bat. Let's see here. I got to go to, I hate their website, Daytona. So they came up with this interactive website. Dodge did. Oh, let's see if we can go to it. Can I go to, is it on Dodge.com anymore or no? Because I think they got rid of it. Let's see. I'm looking here. I might have to go to the media site. They promoted it for like one day and it like disappeared. You're supposed to be able to use your phone. Hold on here. Let me go back and see. Dodge Charger. Let's see here. Interactive Charger Virtual Experience. For more information, is this going to be it? Nope. Where the heck is the stupid website? Can be accessed on, okay, QR code devices. Anyways, if you go on to the app, if you go on to this app here, okay, there's Garrett Reed from American Muscle HD. Anyways, if you go on here and you look at this Charger Scat Pack right here, you turn to the right, there's a car that's covered, right? Next to it is the Barracuda logo, a new version of the Barracuda logo. So what I've been told, and I can't confirm it just yet, is the Barracuda might be a trim model. So going forward, they basically what I was told from one of my buddies is that there are Easter eggs hidden in that website. So, matter of fact, if you go over to Mopar Insiders, we have a forum. A lot of people don't know that we have a forum. We still have about 6,000 members. And one of the most talked about things on here was this Barracuda thing. Let me see if I can find it real quick. We've been talking about it quite a bit on here. Let's see. News and rumors. Right here. Somebody took screenshots of it. Here it is. Dodge Charger portal. Let's look at it. Let's see. I think I got my audio turned off, but we'll see. I'll show you guys. There is a Barracuda.
What's going on? Welcome to Dodge Garage. I'm Garrett, your guy for.
Okay, so
my personal favorite.
If you look over here on the wall,
it's got power and style. But hey, this RT is looking.
Of course, it's going to click on something else that I don't want. Over on the wall in the corner.
You ready? Okay, pick your lane.
Right here.
Buckle in and start up the next.
If you see, there's a Barracuda logo.
This is where
you can see the Barracuda logo on the wall, and they had a car covered up. But if you look, it looks like it basically looks like a 6-pack model. So it'll be very interesting. But nonetheless, there is a Barracuda on the wall. So if you look through this thing, you'll find some Easter eggs. There's a lot of stuff that's in this thing. You got to kind of dig. But if you look around, you'll find stuff. And one of my buddies who works for Dodge was telling me, yeah, you go through it and you'll find some stuff. But you can see here's that car that's covered up, and you'll see the Barracuda logo next to it. And the very interesting thing is it kind of has a domed hood. You can kind of tell from how the cover's sitting. And you can see it's got the heat extractor. There's no R-wing. So this is either a 6-pack model, or what I've been told is that, the Barracuda can come back as a trim. Here you can see it right here. So you can see it's a fish. And it's curved kind of like the Hellcat logo. So, very interesting. No one's ever picked up on that, but some of my people on Mopar Insiders forums have been talking about it since March. But I can't get confirmation on it, so we don't post it if we don't really have a lot of details on it. Let's see here. You think the upcoming Scout brand could possibly be a serious... Definitely, I think Scout could be a serious competitor. They have Volkswagen money. They have a lot of backing. If you look at, the design team, they're mostly Jeep people. Just like Rivian. The funny thing is like Rivian's another competitor for Jeep. Chris Benjamin is the head of the Scout brand for design, and he comes right from Jeep. He comes from the Jeep brand. If we go look at Google and I type in Chris Benjamin, come on, and I type in car designer, you can see, let's pull up his LinkedIn thing. You can see Chief Design Officer for Scout. Where did he come from? Design interiors, Jeep, Wagoneer, Chrysler, Ram, Dodge. He worked for Fiat Chrysler. Look at 7 years, 2 years. He's worked for the company for over 10 years, and then he went to Volkswagen to work for Scout. If you look at Rivian, right? Rivian's head of design. He used to be an employee for Stellantis. Paul Hoyt, who is a design manager. It says this has been. Did he go back to Stellantis? No. I guess he did go back to Stellantis. It can't be. Let me see here. I guess Paul did. Wow. So anyways, Paul went over to Rivian and he designed the R1T and R1S. He was a really great designer for Jeep. He designed the Chinese Jeep Grand Commander. He let's see here. I'll show you. This vehicle was specifically for China. It made its way to the Philippines, but was later canceled because of contract disputes with GAC. But you can kind of see this is the Grand Commander. So Paul designed that. That's basically a Cherokee KL. That's got a stretched wheelbase on it. And you guys might remember Paul's other vehicle he designed, the Dodge Tomahawk. And I'm not talking about the motorcycle. Dodge has used the Tomahawk name quite a bit, but if we talk about GTA 7, Gran Turismo 7, there was the Tomahawk X. It was this vehicle here. Experimental, V10 powered, completely, not hypercar, but super hypercar. You had to use supposedly in the game, you had to use oxygen to drive it, this special suit. But Paul was the one who designed this car. Let's see here. There used to be a whole video about Ralph and them designing the car. Here we go. Let's see if this is it. But this is Paul. You can see him in this video. Let's see if I can enlarge it for you guys.
As a racer, I've been racing nearly 20 years now, and the physics engine in the game responds to the same skill set as a racer does.
Physics in Gran Turismo are extremely realistic.
I grew up playing a lot of Gran Turismo, and that definitely had an impact on how I designed this vehicle.
We opened it up to every designer, Chrysler designer, Dodge, RT, Jeep, Ram. We had 30 different concepts.
It came back to our own heritage. The Viper was a big part of the inspiration, and our muscle cars, of course.
It had that emotional quality to it, just the way it was illustrated even.
It can be stationary and it still looks like it's going fast. Active aero panels, deployable wing, aluminum spine, functional vent, hood scoop, exhaust port, integrated with a rear diffuser. The underbody aerodynamics and airflow are very much performance driven.
If you saw it on a racetrack and you're 50 feet away, what stands out? Silhouette. It has almost a humanistic or an animalistic feeling about it.
The rear three-quarter was one of the coolest workouts.
This needed to be a really impactful piece of the design. This is what the gamer sees.
We're all about the team and collaboration, and we really approached it like we would any other performance vehicle.
We worked with engineering very closely, probably more than a lot of designers would like.
We still had that creative tension that we have between engineering and design.
We wanted the performance to be at a level that would be at the limit of a gamer's reflexes. The virtual driver requires this G-suit. The high-speed load tests the limits of human physiology. You kind of work your way through 3 different levels. The Tomahawk S is the entry-level Tomahawk. S stands for street. The Tomahawk GTSR fits the weight bound, increases the horsepower, turn a sports car into a race car. The Tomahawk X. And X stands for experimental. Every potential emerging technology, some technologies that aren't even invented yet, making a car go as fast as possible.
When the user's driving the car, there's all these handles that are constantly moving, the sounds that you get because of the system's creating downforce.
Yaw force, you can see that in airplanes. 9 panels steer the car through the air. You can pull all those panels back where the car can achieve incredible top speeds.
You recognize the aerodynamic details. They're integrated in a way that doesn't disturb the natural beauty of the car.
It has guts to it.
You know, we work close with our engineering guys, make sure that it pushed the envelope.
A really cohesive blend of function and aesthetics.
It's an ultimate expression of what we do.
They brought the best of our engineering, imagination, and design prowess into one machine.
So you can see Paul in that video. So yeah, he designed the R1T and R1S for Rivian. Rivian's actually a pretty cool company because a lot of the people that, even the plant, if you look at the normal Illinois plant, that was DSM plant, basically Diamond Star Motors, which was a joint venture between Mitsubishi and Chrysler, who owned that plant. And that's where the Mitsubishi Eclipse, the Dodge Stratus Coupe, the Dodge Avenger Coupe, all those vehicles were made. So yes, it's funny how all the connections between Rivian and Chrysler. Another thing I was going to tell you too, you've seen those active air panels on the the Dodge Tomahawk, for Gran Turismo. Let's see here. God, if I can type in right. Let me go back. Let me go to Mopar Insiders real quick. A while back, if you go through, I love to go through the USPTO, which is the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and you really learn some interesting things, about future vehicles. And one of the things that we learned, hold on here, active arrow, I think that's what it is. We learned that the Charger Daytona had a patent for it with active arrow panels. And Jared posted this back in May of last year. We actually seen this patent. Here's a Charger Daytona, obviously with the R-Wing. But you've seen on that Tomahawk concept how it had those movable panels that could create downforce. Here's what they're looking at. So basically the R-Wing would have that panel that goes across the hood, or the frunk, that kind of like separates it from the lower part of the R-Wing, and it would be a usable sail panel to create downforce. So you can see here, there was one big one, and then here's two small ones. So active arrow is very much a future part of design. So again, Charger Daytona, here it is. This is how it works. So we talked about that in May of 2024. So active arrow could be something that's used on the future Dodge Charger Daytona. Paul is a very good designer. Yes, he is. Very good. There's a lot of talent in the design studio over at CTC. The sad thing is a lot of the stuff that, are really cool ideas you never really get to see. I had the chance, I'll see if I can find this real quick. Give me a second here. I had the chance back in 2015 to go to CTC. And like I said, growing up, I always wanted to be a car designer for Chrysler. I wrote a letter to Chrysler, got kind of like how Ralph Gilles did. I got a letter back, but I was always freaking out because I was never good at math. And I figured I had to go and learn math and all, like basically geometry and stuff. And I was terrible at it. I took 4 years of drafting in high school. I mean, I got drawings up the wazoo of different designs I did back in when I was a little kid, still in my toolbox behind me. But the funny thing is I got a chance to go to CTC. What was it? Back in 2015 for the 25th anniversary, and got to do a whole tour, and got to have the chance to go through the design studio. And let me see if I can find this real quick. This was on Allpar. This is back in my Allpar days. I posted this. This was a design called the Manta. This is the Chrysler Manta. It's by John Owens, and it kind of blends kind of the 200 styling. You can kind of see the back rear flank of the 200, but in a larger sedan that would kind of replace the 300. Let me see if I can pull this up. So this is an article I wrote back in 2017. It had to be longer than that. Yeah, this was probably 2016. Anyways, I wrote this article back for Allpar years and years ago. So this is, like I said, I went to CTC, celebrated its 25th anniversary with an open house for friends and family of FCA US employees. During the open house, people had a chance to see designs, clay models, and concept vehicles in the FCA US design studio. One design from FCA US designer John Owens was called the Manta, and shows us one possible future for the next full-size Chrysler sedan. So again, these are taken with an old phone, but anyways, you can kind of see it had this really unique grille, and overall it kind of mixed a very aggressive Chrysler 300 with a 200, kind of with an Imperial look. So I really like the design, but the cool thing was, if you look here, it says with a long hood, short deck proportions, the design is clearly rear-wheel drive. The sidelines is a mix of the current 300 and some of the Chrysler 200 UF. That was the 2015 to 2017 Chrysler 200, if you're wondering. And blends elements blended towards the rear. The Manta pushes the current Chrysler design language forward and tightens the gap from today's Pacifica RU design to the language of the Portal concept, and shown earlier this year at CES. So that would have been 2016 or 2017. Yeah, this is when the article was written, because the Portal came out in 2017. There's the Portal there. Let's see here. But this is a clay model of the car. And they actually showed the drawings, and then this is the clay. So this is probably like I would say probably like a 1/10 scale clay, but it was really cool. Super sleek. Had the headlights here and had kind of the unique front end. This car would look cool as an electric car. You can see the hood design, had these vents sculpted into the side. No mirrors because it's just a simple clay model, but you kind of get the point. And if you look at the back, it kind of has this whole kind of Imperial / New Yorker kind of theme to it. And I absolutely love that design, to the point where I took pictures of it and I was like, hey, I had to write an article for All Par for it. So very cool. And then you can even see back then, look at, sources tell us that Dodge will continue to build the next generation Dodge Charger and Challenger at the Brampton assembly plant in the fall of 2020 as 2021 models. At the time, we were hoping that, a new generation of cars would come, and that's right when, if you watched Autoline after hours of like a year ago, Tim Kuniskis was on there, and he was talking about at that point in like 2018, they were really trying to figure out if they were going to continue on with the current Dodge Charger and Challenger or revamp them with the Giorgio platform, and they decided to continue on with them. So at that time, we were hearing like, hey, they're going to still continue on. And then I said right here, they are said to be based on a larger version. We're hearing that the next generation cars were going to be based on a larger version of the Giorgio architecture. So unfortunately, that never happened. But if you look at the Stella Large platform, it's an evolution of the Giorgio platform. So technically, kind of maybe, but yeah, it was just a cool design. I thought this car was really cool. It was just something different, and it looked really radical. So, let's see here. Tell Paul to make a Tomahawk Viper replacement since he's back now. They have the trademark, just need a good engine. Paul's a really talented designer. Yes, Paul is. Paul is a very good designer. I was figuring that would be on the Banshee, like the active suspension patent they have. Yeah, we don't know yet. That's the thing. We don't know. There's gonna be a lot of weird things. Like, we don't even know if it's gonna have a tri setup yet. I've been hearing that it's gonna be a tri motor. It makes sense because Maserati has one. And in order to be competitive with Tesla, they really have to go tri-motor, but we don't know yet. Let's see here. Robert, I'll send you the Manta was in yet another miss by Chrysler. I still remember the Dodge Copperhead. You know what's funny about the Dodge Copperhead? I have, hold on here. Give me just a second. You're talking about this Dodge Copperhead here. The 1996 Dodge Copperhead. This was supposed to be what Bob Lutz called a baby Viper. This was going to have a 2.7 liter V6 under the hood, and was supposed to be on a smaller platform, but never made it into production. The only funny thing is they couldn't use the Copperhead name because ZZ Top, Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, it was Billy Gibbons. He sued them. He sued Dodge for using that name because if you look at his car collection, he had a vehicle called the Copperhead, and it was trademarked. It was actually trademarked. So Dodge lost that, and if you look at any video game or even this, it doesn't say Copperhead anywhere. Even on the bottom of this, it says just Dodge. But if you play a video game, it says Dodge Concept Vehicle. And that's why it was called the Concept Vehicle instead of Copperhead, because ZZ Top sued Dodge. So, yes. Let's see here. Is that the new 300? No, it's not the new 300. That is the 2018 Chrysler Manta design concept. It's funny because these design concepts, these, basically these internal, what they call design studies, a lot of people never see them. But I posted some pictures a long time ago when the Walter P. Chrysler Museum was around back in, 2000 I want to say 2008 or something like that. We got to see a car. Now, there was actually two cars called the Chrysler Nassau. One was a concept that was a wagon, had a 6.1 liter V8 under the hood. But there was also the original. This is the one that everybody remembers. This thing right here. Let's see here. Well, of course, it's going to pull up the press kit for it. I don't want the press kit. Here, we'll just pull up Mopar Insiders because it's on there too. Because I wrote about that a long time ago. This right here is the Chrysler Nassau concept. A lot of people remember this. This is a shooting brake, basically LX platform, rear-wheel drive, 6.1 liter Hemi V8 concept that they built back in 2007. Okay, this was just a really cool concept. But however, there was another Chrysler Nassau concept, and a lot of people don't know this, and Ralph Gilles has been, he mentions this a lot, but there was a designer by the name of Robert Heibeck, and he was probably my favorite designer. I wrote an article about him not that long ago. Hold on here, I'll show you, because he passed away. But he was by far my favorite designer. And this was in May of 19th of 2022. So Robert Heibeck, why did my computer do that? Okay. So anyways, he designed the Dodge Viper GTS Coupe. He was also the person who designed the Australian Dodge Charger that everybody knows from down there. He designed several cars. He also had his hand in the Chrysler Atlantic concept, the Dodge Copperhead concept that we just talked about. He designed a ton of cars, but one of the cars that he designed he was actually the person who penned the original design for the Chrysler, the modern, the 2005 Chrysler 300. So I actually have his drawing for that car in my office here. I'll show you that too if you guys want to see it. But let's see here. This is the original design. This is a clay this isn't a clay. This is basically, it's not a moving car. It's just a it's made of like plastic and all that other stuff. It looks like it has an interior, but it's not functional. But this is the original design for the Chrysler 300. This is the Chrysler Nassau design concept. This was an internal concept that nobody ever seen outside the company except for a few people that when they go and like pull people for clinics and stuff, they would show them this car. But this is the original design for this car. So Bob designed this car back in, I think, like 2000 or 2001. And they actually brought it to life. You can see it's got little chrome mirrors on it. Big grille like an old Chrysler would have. The headlight shape's the same. The two vent design, very similar. If we look at the back is a little different. These are really the only two images that ever exist of this car. This is at the Chrysler Museum, and they only had it on display for a little bit, but you can see Nassau on the back. Taillights are different. Look at how short the deck is on this thing, and it's more like a mid-size car. You can kind of see compared to this 1955 Chrysler 300, look how much smaller this car is. So it does have like a dash and stuff in it, but it's not a functional car. But this was an internal design concept that actually led to the Chrysler 300. So if you're ever wondering, what the car looked like, this is what it looked like in its original design. Now, Ralph did an excellent job because Bob retired and Ralph was basically given the task to bring his concept to life. So when they say Ralph, was the head designer of the 300 program, he was the head designer of the 300 program. but Bob's design was the inspiration for the modern day Chrysler 300. So it's a very cool car. Very, very cool car. Matter of fact, give me a second again and I'll grab a picture of the original car, the original design sketch of the car. Give me just a second. Matter of fact, hold on here. So I have a bunch of Bob's design stuff. I have actual framed pictures of these Viper photos from the GTS-R that you'll see here. I have these put away in storage, but I have them framed. I just think Bob was such a great designer. So you can see this is the original GTS-R race car that went to Le Mans. He designed the original 1994 Dodge Viper GTS concept car. He didn't design the 1989 car, but he designed the coupe. So, but anyways, this is his 300 original design sketch. This isn't the actual sketch. This is a thing that I got at the Chrysler Museum a long time ago. Back in, I want to see 2007. But this is the Nassau. This is it. And it says right here on the thing that Bob designed it in 1999. So that tells you right there how long it takes to get cars into production. So, but if you look at some of Bob's stuff, I mean, he did some really cool stuff. I don't know if you guys can see it because, hold on here. I'm looking at my live stream and it's kind of backlit with the light. It's kind of shining into it. But Bob did a lot of cool designs for Chrysler, and not a lot of people know about him, unfortunately. But he is by far my favorite designer, probably of all time. It was sad to see him go. Like, obviously, people know the Chrysler Atlantic. Here's one of his original sketches for it. You can see here. But just an amazing designer. But this is him here. This is right before he died. This was off of Facebook. So, awesome guy. But you can see, like, you know, he just had a lot of iconic cars actually make it into production. So he had a 33-year and 3-month career with the Chrysler Product Design Studio. So he went from December 1967 to February of 2001. So he retired in 2001. Just before he got to see the 300 actually make it into production. But obviously he's seen it in production because he didn't pass away until 2022. So he was 83 years old, but really cool designer. So, see, I love his, like, Chrysler history. I think a lot of people just want to see what's going on with the company and bash stuff, but there's so much history within the brand and stuff. And one thing I know is, like, Butter's really working on some really cool stuff coming up. He's trying to do a video on all the Demon 170s, like all the jailbreak cars. And I told him, I said, this is, like, really important for Chrysler history because not everybody gets to know about, like, these cars were kind of kept in secret. No one got to know who had them, and he's kind of, like, documenting history. And I think that's what a lot of us, Mopar fans need to do is well document the history of the brands. Allpar used to be like that. Allpar was really good about being like the encyclopedia for everything Mopar, but when they got taken over, they kind of got rid of everything and made it into a forum, and it kind of made it really disappointing and hard to find stuff, because if you really want, like, to go back through and see the information, it's hard to find. You only got one more to find out already today, huh? That's awesome, dude. I cannot wait for that video. Because, again, I've just been super excited about finding out, what colors are what and stuff like that. So, I do have, I'll have to send you, I know you probably have them already, but I have all of the pictures from the kits from that bring a trailer auction. I will send you all that so you can see like the color palettes and stuff. So Chrysler history is awesome. You know, and it's funny because when I was growing up, I was always big into the Dodge brand and stuff like that. As I've gotten older, I've really started to appreciate the Chrysler brand's history, especially. A lot of people don't understand, like, you know, what Chrysler had their hands in, you know, between like different, you know, like refrigeration, you know, like with Frigidaire. They provided the Stage 1 rocket for the Saturn V rocket. Built tank engines for the Sherman tank, which we're going to see a couple of them at the Carlisle Nationals here coming up pretty quick. So it's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be very awesome. Let's see here. Yeah, my dear friend told me one I was looking for, so I needed to find the color of the Clarity car. Okay, cool. Or Charity car. Yeah, cool, man. That's going to be a cool video. I'm telling you, you're going to get a lot of hits on that because I think it's very important for a lot of us to actually go out and document this stuff. One of the big things I get on Mopar Insiders is I get people messaging me all the time. Like, I have this gentleman who actually doesn't live that far from me, and he's seen an article I wrote on Mopar Insiders a long time ago. I still have his email. I should reach out to him. But when they were developing the Dodge Challenger back in 2006, they actually introduced a car called the Challenger Superstock. It was a concept car. And I did a recent, like, kind of like a revamp article of one that I did a long time ago, because I tried to redo, if I find new pictures of stuff, you can see, like, I did one here in 2002, and then I redid it again. If I find new pictures of things or get new information, I'll try to update them. But this car here spawned a whole generation of Challenger race cars, drag cars. We have the Superstock that we had from, you know, 2021, or actually 2020 to 2023. We have, you know, obviously it was based on the 2006 Dodge Challenger RT concept car, which to me is still one of the most beautiful concepts ever built. But this car right here, the guy who actually fabricated this car for Dodge reached out to me, and he doesn't live that far from me, and he was like, hey, I still have like prototype parts for this thing sitting in my garage. He's like, you need to come up here and videotape them and, you know, document all this stuff. And I was like, dude, I would love to. The problem is, it's just time. Well, now I'm starting to, like, the kids are getting older and stuff like that, so I can start spending time on doing stuff. And if you guys like to see stuff like this and me doing more like history stuff, you know, let me know, because I would love to do it and spend time on doing stuff like this if people are actually going to, you know, care about it. So, let's see here. Also designed and made tanks. Yep. Made not only tanks, but they did a whole bunch of stuff. You know, if you look at the original Power Wagons and the transport trucks that Dodge built, you know, they were a huge factor in World War II. So, just a ton of things. Like, people don't know, like, you know, if you look at, like, Chrysler was the first car to ever have functioning windshield wipers, like automatic windshield wipers. You know, the cab forward design, that was a big thing. Aerodynamics played a big part in the Chrysler's designs, like with the airflow and that. Even though the airflow was considered ugly at the time, power steering was another thing Chrysler came up with. So there's a lot of things that Chrysler did that was pretty remarkable. And I think, again, a lot of us need to, like, document this history. Because today's world, it's sad. We lost, like, the Chrysler Museum. And that generation that actually worked for Chrysler is now, you know, dying off. So it's you're kind of losing your history. And I think, like, if we got some people together and actually documented a lot of this stuff, it would be really beneficial for the, you know, the future of not just, you know, like, you know, preserving the brands, but actually, you know, benefiting for those who come into liking this stuff and want to know about the future. Because one thing I was talking about with Bill Adams, who's the Walter P. Chrysler Club's president, I was talking to him the other day, and I was talking about, you know, he was saying about how they want to reach out to different people and basically want to kind of pull people in that are younger to the brands. And it's not just like a Chrysler thing. It's about, there's a lot of younger people who've, like, finally start to like Chrysler stuff. And it's not just Chrysler, Dodge, and all that Mopar stuff. But as they get older and they get more involved in it, they start to wonder about the history of it. And I think that's going to be a huge thing going forward, is really documenting everything going forward. Let's see here. The first one was auctioned off at charity with Nicole Kidman. Yep, I remember that, Butter, and it actually went through twice. Somebody bought it and then said put it back on the auction block. And they ended up running it again. And I think, what was it? It was like $700,000 or something like that. I think it was a total. Let me see here. I'll tell you how much it was, because I remember writing about it. Let's see. Give me just a second here. $700,000. It was the silver car. Yeah, we can watch it right here.
That is the 15th edition
What?
Jackson auction here in Las Vegas.
Oh, of course we're gonna start buffering. Hold on here. Let's see if we can fast forward a little bit. Anyways,
this is the
here we go.
Demon 170. Now, this is a great opportunity for a great cause. Before we run the video, I just want to tell you, this is the actual car you're looking at in Vegas that they dropped out of the helicopter for the launch. If you haven't bought one already, you cannot get one of these. The car is going to be in a color that you get to pick, as long as it's any PPG color that they painted any of the other Chrysler cars. So it is a one-off car going for a great cause. Amanda, we want to run the video first, and then Amanda will tell you about it.
The first time it happened was at a party.
Oh, they're talking about the charity that I went for.
Everyone was eating their food.
Let's see here. It was Christie's house is the charity that it went for.
Well, this is the last call. Factory ordering is sold out on these, and only 3,300 will be built. You get the 6.2-liter V8 D170 engine that gives this car its name, topped with a supercharger and rated at 1,025 horsepower. Drag racing suspension, yellow painted engine block, Brembo 4-piston brakes, rear body flares, performance spoiler, high intensity discharge headlamps. And in stock form, the NHRA says you can't run this the way it is, not without a roll cage and everything else. 8.91 seconds at 151 miles an hour ET. So you get to choose the exterior color, as Craig pointed out, and 100% of the money raised benefits Chrissy House.
Challengers, Hemis, ever built. This is an opportunity. This car should go in the museum. This is the end of the road, and a one-on-one, and a charity car to a great cause. What else you want? And a kiss from Nicole Kidman.
And tickets to Keith Urban's show.
There you go.
Well, now we're talking. All right, now we've upped the ante.
And the reality is they're donating to a wonderful cause, and they're getting a car at the same time.
Oh my God.
So that was for $400,000, and then watch this. This is pretty cool.
Nicole Kidman hammers it sold. every penny going to Christie House for the 2023 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon. A big hug up on the block.
Please be careful. Yes, sir. I heard some noise up top.
Stay right here. Right here, Greg. He wants to donate the car back and do it again.
Let's do it.
So yeah, you donated the car back and they redid the numbers again. Watch.
Challenger SRT Demon 170 sell for a great cause for Christie's House, $400,000. But then the gentleman who bought it, he whispers back into the bidder's assistant ear, says, "Let's do it again." He donated it back. And of course, Nicole Kidman up on the block donated more tickets to her husband's show. The second time around, it raised $300,000, a total of $700,000 to benefit Christie House to help provide treatment, advocacy.
So pretty cool. So yeah, not a bad day at the auction. $700,000 for 2 bids. So pretty cool. Let's see here. Was that Keith Urban's car? No, it was not Keith Urban's car. Nicole Kidman just was there to auction the car off for the charity, because she's one of the spokespeople for the charity. Let's see here. There's pictures of the car because it was the last Demon 170 off the line, and it was given the VIN 3300. And it was one of the last jailbreak cars even painted by Penske. Yeah. What color was it, Butter? What color was the car actually painted? Because I'm curious now. Let's see here. Or are you going to make me wait for the video? That's what I want to know. If you don't want to tell me, you can text it to me, because I'm curious. So anyways, yeah, it's been a busy week. And then we talked, well, the first thing is too, let's talk about this too. Shap produced its 2 millionth Ram 1500. Basically it was a RHO. This was on Wednesday, so that was pretty cool. Congratulations to the UAW Local 1700 who does all the work at Shap. 2 million units since they launched the truck back in March of 2018. So really cool. And of course, the Ram 1500 is Stellantis' #1 selling product. So that's really cool. It'll be interesting to see where this truck goes. A lot of people on my Ram 15 or my 5th gen Rams forums, if you guys don't know, 5th gen Rams is part of Mopar Insiders. We have like the biggest 5th generation website. We got like 120,000 forum members on there. A lot of people are like going, "Hey, who bought this truck?" They're hoping to see who got it. So, but very cool. Congratulations to the team over there at Shap. And then we had this big story that we wrote about, and that was Tim Kuniskis went on social media, which Tim is not known for using social media whatsoever, but he has a LinkedIn page, and he posted this really interesting article. He posted, 4 months ago, I returned to the Ram brand with a clear mission to build exciting trucks. Since then, we have been shaping the next evolution of Ram, a bold new chapter that honors the legacy of the brand while redefining its future. There are 25 product announcements planned within the next 18 months, and it all starts on June 8th. I'm proud to be back, proud to be part of this team, and more determined than ever to show the world nothing stops Ram. So 25 product announcements. And it's very interesting because I did a video yesterday. If you want to go through and watch that video, it's pretty in depth. I did like a 28-minute video about some of the products that we know about. There's a lot of products in the pipeline. A lot of people have been asking about the Rampage. Is the Rampage one of them? I doubt it. It looks like that's staying, in South America. A lot of people really want to see the Rampage come to the U.S. I was reading the comments in the video today, and it seems like everybody wants about 95% of the people that mentioned the Rampage want it to come to the U.S. But unfortunately, I just don't see it coming here in its current form. It's built in Brazil. They would have to build it here, which they could technically build it at Brampton. It's based on the current Jeep Compass platform. But, the problem is it's considered a premium vehicle down there. And if you look at like the vehicle like this Rampage Rebel, this vehicle is priced about $48,000, where a fully loaded Ford Maverick, which is almost the same size, The Rampage is only like 3/10 of an inch longer than the Maverick. The problem is the Maverick Tremor, which is their 4x4 model, it starts at, or like ends at about 42, 43. So the Rampage is a lot more expensive. They would have to decontent this vehicle big time, because the Maverick has, you know, multiple powertrains. It has basically a hybrid 4x4 and 2-liter, you know, basically turbocharged 4-cylinder. This has a turbocharged 4-cylinder, but it also has a standard 2.2-liter 4-cylinder turbo diesel down there, which would not make it here. But the GME T4 is in it. The very interesting thing about the Rampage is, again, it's built on the Compass platform. It shares the front doors with the Compass, the A-pillar of the windshield, but is definitely unique. It's got a longer wheelbase, so it's basically on the same platform as the Commander, which is a 7-passenger, basically version of the Jeep Commander in Brazil. But so this vehicle, you can see right here, it's pretty capable, and it basically has the same 4x4 capability as the Compass Trailhawk. So again, very capable vehicle. You can fit it in your garage. They would have to like basically make it standard front-wheel drive and then optional 4-wheel drive, where down in Brazil, it's basically standard 4-wheel drive, standard 9-speed automatic transmission. They would just have to kind of cheapen it up. And even the interior is more upgraded. We talked about the TRX coming back. Obviously, the TRX is probably one of those key products that we know, which we can kind of guarantee that it's coming back because we've heard so much stuff about it. The first big announcement, I think on June 8th, is the return of the Hemi. Tim has been very vocal about that inside the company. Matter of fact, when everybody returned back to CTC to work in March, they had a big like online meeting, basically like why is my mind going blank? I can't think of the stupid name. Anyways, they had a big meeting online internally in the company, and they basically told everybody that the Hemi's back. So, and Tim was on there saying that the Hemi's back for sure. So we're going to see probably the announcement of the Hemi returning to the Ram 1500 as the first announcement. There's going to be a lot of different things. We're going to see, we posted pictures of the Warlock with a V6 on the hood testing. I caught that probably a couple weeks ago. That was probably another vehicle that's going to be out there. We know the Ram Charger and Ram 1500 Rev. We know there's a new work van coming. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming. So if you go and watch my video, I go really in depth with like all the stuff that we know about for sure. And we know that he's really working on a sub $50,000 lineup of pickups. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes out. But June 8th is the date. So again, we'll probably hear Hemi's coming first, and then we'll probably start seeing, like some decontented models, and then we'll start seeing some other things like, again, TRX coming back, and the TRX is not going to displace the RHO. The RHO will still be available. So we'll see. Town hall meeting. There you go. Thank you. I was having a brain fart. It's almost midnight, and I got 3 hours of sleep this morning. So anyways, a lot of stuff going on. Again, if you weren't here at the beginning, if you're very interested in a behind-the-scenes look at the Dodge Charger Daytona, go on to Jordan Rose's YouTube page or his Instagram page, Mopar Tech Jordan. He's doing some really great stuff that we're showcasing on Mopar Insiders about different problems with the Charger Daytona. He's a Charger Daytona owner, and he's basically at a dealership in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and he basically is going to start doing, he's basically in charge of all their PDI for EVs and stuff, and he's going to do a lot more in-depth videos, because now we got Ram Charger coming, Ram 1500 Rev coming, the new hybrids are coming, so Jordan's going to be very busy, and he's going to have some really cool content coming forward, so can't wait for that. What a perfect day to announce Hemis on 426. Yeah, too bad. I don't know. We'll see. I would love to see him say something about it then, but we'll see. He said his first big announcement's in June. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of possibilities coming up, man. And you know this, Butter. Like, there's so much stuff changing behind the scenes right now. It's hard to keep up with. You would hope that they would, but it depends on how good their marketing team is. That is true. And right now, I don't think their marketing team's like all up on everything, because there's a lot of potential that they could be doing right now and they're not doing it. So anyways, everybody have a good Easter. I'm glad you guys all came and hung out with me tonight. And, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Make sure to check out Mopar Insiders. I got to go and actually work on a couple articles for tomorrow and actually help my wife get ready for tomorrow and get ready for church and stuff. So anyways, maybe a trailer teaser. Let's hope. Jeepin' and Mopars. So anyways, you guys have a good Easter weekend. Have fun with your families, and I'll see you next week. All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye.